Hi, welcome to the T. Myers Academy of Arts in Flatique. This is Balloon Sculpture 101. I'm T. Myers.
And I'm Mary Ann. The ballooning skills you will acquire in the next 60 minutes will make you the envy of your friends.
The life of the party.
A true artiste.
So to speak.
For this class, we're going to be using long, skinny balloons. They come in many sizes and are referred to by numbers. This is a 260E. The first digit is the diameter of the balloon. The second and third digits are the length.
In other words, this is 2 inches, and this is 60 inches.
As you can see, these numbers are approximate. They vary by manufacturer and batch of balloons. Sometimes a letter follows the number, as in 260A or 260E. The A indicates a thin-walled balloon that's easier to blow by mouth. We use E's, which are thicker-walled. They're a little harder to blow by mouth, but they generally take more abuse. There are a few things all latex balloons have in common.
They deteriorate in light, heat, and with age.
Don't we all?
Light makes them weak, heat makes them soft, and age makes them brittle.
Keep your balloons in a cool, dark place. The refrigerator works best. You can put them anywhere from the crisper to the freezer. When kept this way, they'll last months without noticeable deterioration. When you work outside, try to find a shady spot. Even in cool weather, be sure to keep your balloons out of direct sun.
We take a cooler. We keep blue ice in it to keep the balloons fresh while we're working. Taking care of your balloons will reduce your pop factor and make you look good.
The shape of these balloons gives them unique strengths. Their strong wall makes them difficult to blow by mouth. If you must blow them by mouth, stretch them like crazy.
It makes the walls weaker. I use my mouth and my throat to make the first bubble, and I put my fingers against my cheek to hold my cheeks in and to hold the balloon at my lips.
Use your diaphragm to fill the rest of the balloon.
These balloons can take an amazing amount of abuse, but the more lightly you handle them, the less likely they are to pop. We like to keep the balloon as strong as possible. Everything you do to it will make it weaker. Stretching it.
Blowing it up.
Letting air out.
Squeezing it.
Rubbing it.
Heating it up.
Twisting it.
Or letting it sit unused.
It all makes it weaker. As you make a sculpture, you will be specifically weakening the balloon in strategic places to achieve the look you desire. By keeping all the strength possible, you're leaving the most options open to change the behavior of the balloon. That's a long sentence, but it's our theory of how to handle these things. Now, if you can already tie a knot, which is the next thing after you've blown it up, if you can do it quickly and easily, you're doing it right. If you feel clumsy or your fingers hurt, this is how I do it. Now first, I like to have a little more nozzle than this, so I'll twist a bubble maybe that far down and let the air out. That gives me plenty of nozzle to work with. And then I hold the balloon in this manner, with my first and second left fingers pressed against my thumb, with the balloon there holding it, and the last third and fourth finger pulled into my palm. Now my palm is on an angle upward. The balloon goes down to my right. The nozzle is up. I have a V right here. If I reach through this V and grab the nozzle, I can pull it around 2 fingertips. Now I try to pull it just over the edge of my fingernails and then around and across the neck of the balloon. After it crosses the balloon, it goes in between the fingertips, those 2 fingertips. It'll stay there because this loop of balloon is like a rubber band pulling it tight. The only thing you have to do to finish this knot is pull this loop of balloon over the edge, and the knot's tied. Now,
Try to get in the habit of not pulling the knot tight, because there are going to be lots of things in balloon sculpture where you need to move that knot to make an adjustment. So just get in the habit of not pulling it tight.
that's right.
Let's try something really complicated, like a worm.
This is only a balloon worm because you say it's a worm. It could be a snake or a stick or a long skinny balloon. It could be a flying balloon. This is one of my favorites. Make sure the balloon's straight. Put your finger in the end and twist it as it goes in there. That way it'll spiral away when it shoots off your finger. It'll spiral right back to you too. Another thing you can do with a long balloon is balance it on your nose. You probably don't think you can do this, but you can. Just keep your nose underneath the top of the balloon. If you tell a 7-year-old to do this, make sure you tell him to move his feet too, or he'll fall right over. Or this could be a worm sword. Dueling worms. Ugh. You know what? This is Nicholas right here. Nicholas, climb up in here. Okay, say hi to everybody.
Hi.
That's good. I'm going to show you how to make a standard sword out of this. The standard sword is made with a S or a Z fold, and then squeeze it in the center, twist it around, get the handle at the end, and roll the knot out for that jeweled effect. Make a nice presentation of the sword. Here you go, Nicholas. And this will, oh, well, they're really sharp too, and pointy. This one here we'll make into the saber, okay, Nicholas?
Okay.
You start by making one little loop here, and a small bubble. You don't have to pull the knot on that one. And then you run the rest of the sword through that one little loop and give it a little curve on there, and you have a saber like a pirate uses. Here you go. And for these, boy, you need a scabbard, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, hands up. You need a holster for your balloon. You tie the ends of the balloon together. You don't have to tie the nozzle first. You can save some time by just tying the 2 together. Pull out a loop on the other side and twist it to give you a place for the sharp part of the sword. Okay, Nicholas, that's good.
This looks too good, and it's just crying for a helmet. Let's see how you look in a space helmet.
All right. You look bad, Nicholas. Really bad, really bad.
Good job. Thanks, Nick.
You're welcome.
And now let's talk about making hats. We'll start with one of the basic hat forms. When learning to size a hat for someone else, start by sizing one on yourself, so you can tell how tight to make it. If you make it too tight, you'll give them a headache. If you make it too large, it'll fall off.
Each hat is measured to the wearer's head. Be sure you ask permission before you wrap a balloon around someone's head. Now is the time to be gentle, especially if you're working with children. Now, starting from the knot end, measure the head and leave just enough. You want to measure mine?
Okay.
Yeah.
Need to mess up your hair.
Leave just enough to make a twist there. If you leave this little bubble too long, you're going to run out of balloon, and it'll be too short to finish the hat.
This is the headband, and this is the feather or tail. Now, this is the Indian princess hat with the coonskin cap, the unicorn, or the elephant. Now, we prefer not to make any hat that has a balloon coming right back from the eyes because of the danger of this balloon popping and hitting you in the eyes. Up here, there's not so much danger. If this pops, it just makes a noise. It doesn't hurt.
Let's learn to make a basic helmet. One of the things required in a basic helmet is that the balloon be as long as possible. To get more length from your balloon, you can stretch it before you blow it up, and you can stretch it while you're blowing it up. If you're blowing it by mouth, you can still stretch it as you blow it up. And the third way to stretch it is to stretch it after it's blown up.
If when you blow it up, or by mouth, you aren't stretching it out, but just letting it blow up, you get a fatter or round balloon that's firmer. If you want to make it longer, grab the ends, pull it across your chest or around your back, and the balloon has gained some length. You can even get an inch or so more by rolling the knot.
Once you got the long balloon, let's try a basic helmet. This is starting with your basic hat form, a headband and a feather. At the end of the feather, twist a small bubble, ideally about the same size as the one on the other side. Bring it down to the front of the headband. I usually make a little pinch here to show myself where I'm going to wrap this around. And using my thumb, just wrap that bubble around one time. Once is enough. And you've got a basic helmet.
Very attractive.
Thank you so much. Let's see how you look in it.
Well, I like it like the roll bars or the catcher's mask.
Ooh. All right. To turn this basic helmet into a space helmet that you saw on Nicholas a few minutes ago.
It's a simple matter to twist two bubbles together at the beginning, pull the long one over the top, and twist it to the other bubble at the other end.
These are just one time around. You don't need to twist them 5 or 6 times. There
And
you
I like
go.
a little forward motion on this. Get a little forward there.
All right, let's see how that looks.
Kind of Hawaiian, I think.
It's you? It's you. All right. Balloon hats are just plain fun. Kids love them. Moms don't have to carry them. And they're easier to make than animals. Here's another way to attach a second balloon to a basic helmet, and this is a great hat. When you're attaching something to the crossbar of a helmet, it's better to do it before you bring the tail down to the headband. This is less stressful for the balloons, and popping fewer balloons is less stressful for you. On this one, we're going to take the crossbar, find the center, give it a pinch, and we're going to attach it to the center of the feather. Now, the center of the feather, you need to allow for this 1-inch bubble on the end, so it's going to be a little bit this side of center. Make a twist here, and just attach the second balloon on. It only needs to go around one time. And now bring the feather, just like you did for your basic helmet. You're going to make a bubble, bring the feather down to the center of the headband, and twist it around. All right? This is the rabbit ears. And if when you get your rabbit ears made, if they aren't exactly in the center, put the hat facing, if they're a little forward of center, put it with the rabbit ears forward so the perspective is a little better. This is rabbit ears.
Very nice.
Here, 2 more twists. Maybe you'd like to turn this into headphones.
Sure. When you make them into headphones, you need to give some consideration into this length here, that it's the same on both sides. You make a twist on each side. And then bend those down in this crack to hold them down. And you've got the headphones hat.
It's now. It's 80s.
Today. It's
and it picks up FM. All right. Let's try another one.
Start with a basic helmet, and then take another balloon and tie it in a circle like you did for the scabbard.
Just like the scabbard, this is a double overhand knot. In other words, it's sort of like tying your shoes. And you notice that I only tied the knot once. In other words, when you take the balloon out of your mouth or off your
And they never
You'll
break.
do plenty of that. Just keep going. You don't need to tie the knot as you take it out of your mouth. Just pull the 2 ends together and tie the knot once and save yourself some trouble. Now, to make this... Balloon hats are just plain fun and slightly annoying. Okay, look. To make this module, you're going to find the opposite side of the knot and bring those pieces together. And then it's just one twist. And what you have here is a figure 8.
Okay. Here's this. You want to
You
put
do
the
that.
8 on top of the center of the band.
You're sizing this up just like you did your rabbit ears.
Bring the band to the front.
Oh, I actually think this hat looks better on me.
It's a feminine hat.
This is the bow hat, or the present hat, or the key hat.
Or the mouse ears hat. It looks wonderful on a little 3-year-old girl.
Yes, it does. Balloon animals take a lot more twisting than hats, so let's spend a minute talking about a good way to do that. And one of the first pieces of advice is to hold the balloon lightly.
The lighter you hold the balloon, the better chance you have of not breaking it. You get rough with it, it's going to break. Now there's 2 rules to twisting balloon animals. The first rule is always hold the first and the last bubbles. The second rule is always twist the body of the balloon in the same direction.
We're right-handed now, so for you left-handers, you'll need to make adjustments, but we hold the balloon with the nozzle end to our right and the body to our left. And you use your fingertips on both hands to determine where the twists will happen and to help size the bubbles that you're going to make. So figure out the size of the bubble that you'd like to make that little pinch, and turn it. Now I'm turning the body of the balloon here toward myself. And in making the entire animal, I'm always going to turn the body toward myself.
Notice here that if you let go of this bubble, it comes out. Right. That's why you must always hold the first and last bubble.
Okay. If in making a bubble, you twist the bubble one way and the next twist you twist the other way, what you're doing is defeating yourself. You're untwisting as you go along. So also try to resist that urge to change hands in mid-sculpture, because it's another way to cause the bubbles to untwist as you go along. In other words, always twist the body of the balloon in the same direction. A little practice will soon have your hands feeling right at home twisting a balloon. This is like typing or playing the piano. You can do it. Just hang in there. All right, let's start with a simple dog.
The very simplest dog out of a fully blown balloon is made by folding over one part and twisting it there for the nose and the ears. Fold it over here and twist it again for the legs.
Think of the body parts. Individual body parts. Instead of a 2-inch bubble or a 3-inch bubble, try to think of it as a leg or a neck or a tummy.
This is the single loop balloon.
Yes. This is a standard dog, and this is the very easiest form of a standard dog. We like this dog better, and it's not that much harder to make. So let's learn how to make this one. Can you see how much nicer this one is? Okay, let's work on this. In order to make this basic dog, you need to start with a balloon that has about a 2-inch tail.
About a 2-inch tail.
All right. First bubble is the nose. You need to pinch off the nose and twisting the main body of the balloon always in the same direction. Notice this is the first bubble and this is the last bubble at this point, because there are only 2. If you always hold on to these, even if there are some in the middle, they won't come out. All right, this is his nose, and now you need to pinch off another one for his ear.
You hold this first bubble with your little finger against your palm while you reach out to pinch the next bubble to size it.
All right.
Now I can let go of this bubble because I'm holding the first bubble. Okay?
All right. This is a nose and 1 ear. Now we need another ear. Okay.
Are they about the same size?
Yeah.
Okay.
And ideally they will be.
This is how it looks.
All right. Now to lock these bubbles in place, this is one kind of lock twist here. Grab his little ears and just turn him around a time or 2. And there you have a nose and 2 ears. And I might add a stunning profile. Let's finish this guy. This same series of 3 twists is going to make the whole dog. We're going to do the same thing 3 times.
Now this is the first bubble because these 3 are locked together.
All right.
So you make your first bubble.
That's his neck.
And then a leg. Not that long.
Most probably a left leg.
And then a right leg.
Fold them over and twist, just like you did the ears. All right. If your little dog comes out with his head turned backwards, just turn it around. You haven't goofed. Just turn his little face around.
And then you make his body, and it's longer than his legs usually. You squeeze a little bit and twist.
Remembering that his body is now the first bubble.
Then the next leg, one of the back legs, and then one of the other back leg. And then...
And whatever's left over is his tail.
I gave you kind of a long tail here, but he's okay.
He's okay. One of the nicest things you can do with almost any animal, besides put it on a hat, and that's a pretty darn nice thing, is to put it on a leash. This turns this little balloon dog into more of a toy if you're doing these for children. And this is how we've done it. We've taken a fully inflated balloon and wrapped it from the nozzle end right around his little tummy and made a twist right here, leaving about a 1-inch bubble on the end. This is just your basic hat form twist again in a different proportion. And give it a little bit of character by just bending the balloon like this, and you've got a dog on a leash. You can put anything on a leash.
Let me see that dog.
Okay.
We'll put that dog right on a hat.
Put that dog right on.
This dog goes easily onto your basic hat form. Same way as the leash, but the leash goes up and the hat goes down. Twist it on. And you see how this is. When I make it, I want to fold this back in, and that requires that this small bubble be toward the back, so this can fold down.
This tuck in is just what you did on the headphones hat a minute ago to get them to rest right, and the balloon wants to hang on to itself. But it keeps it from pitching forward when
it goes on the head, it will push it forward some.
This is actually the flying weenie dog hat. Well, maybe the flying dog.
The flying standard dog.
Yeah, right, that's a standard dog. All right, using the same size balloon, this is a balloon with about a 2-inch tail. This is actually, we call this a 6-in-1 animal because with the same series of 3 twists, you can do 6 different animals. And here's the standard dog is the first one, and here's another one. This is a giraffe. And these are the same, it's the same thing, only different proportion. And try to think about proportion when you're practicing your animals because it's what's going to make them be real special if you can get them all in proportion. I think of a giraffe as kind of having a small head and smaller ears than a dog. So I'm going to make a nose, clip it in my little finger, make an ear, which can be let go of because I've got the first and last one, another ear, and then we're going to fold them over and twist them off just like you just did your dog, and you've got a little head here, little ears and a nose. For a giraffe, I like to roll that knot just like we already learned how to do. Gives his face a little bit more character. Now, giraffes are long necks, so we're going to go way down the neck. But remember that just because this is long, it's still your first bubble on the next segment. So you're going to hang on to it and make 2 front legs. 1. If you bend it down this way, you can kick this one up out of your way, and it's also a way to measure and get those legs the same way. That's the second front leg. Twist him off. Turn his little face facing front. And there you go. Now you need a body. That's your first one. Clip it in your finger. And 2 legs. 1, 2. Okay, there you go. Now to give your giraffe a little bit of character, do that little leash technique in his neck. Give his neck a little kink. A giraffe looks very nice on a leash also.
I think it does.
Okay, let's put him on here.
I like to walk my giraffe.
Yes,
That's
it's
a
very
fine
nice.
giraffe, I think so.
All of these animals work very nice on that hat with the dog. You can put any animal in there. Let's try a dachshund. And maybe you
It'll
turn
never
it
be a dachshund. No, we made it too much of
All
a
right.
giraffe.
Let's
Try
have
a
you
dachshund?
do a dachshund.
Okay. A dachshund has a nose and 2 ears, just like every other animal. You give it a shorter neck here, some short little legs, okay, and a long body. See, I have to hold him right. This dachshund has a hole in his tail.
Ooh, that can be so painful. Here, let's start again.
Something you run
A
into
little
with
nose,
balloons.
a couple little ears. In doing balloons for animals, oftentimes the term dachshund is lost, and you can just go directly to the more recognizable weenie dog. Somehow it works better with kids. Here we go. This is 2 segments of 3. Go all the way down his body and try to judge how much you have left for legs. In thinking about his legs, try to remember that in a perfect world, his back legs are the same size as his front legs, okay? There you go. That's a weenie dog.
Let's try another of the basic animals, a squirrel. It has a 2-inch tail like all the others, and a small nose on the squirrel with small ears on the squirrel. Now I've made 3 in a row. They're folded over and twisted for the nose and ears. Here's his neck, the next first bubble. Here's one leg and the other leg, folded together and twisted to make the squirrel's front part. Let's make his body about that long. Give him his back legs. And he has a long tail left over. And with his tail, give him a little curve on there. He's kind of blowing in the wind. Squirrel on the run. How about a
Another
mouse?
rodent. Well, we're on rodent.
Another rodent. The space mouse, one of my favorites. That's a little long for him. There we go.
Notice this is the first animal that we've made that has a real long tail on the balloon. You need about a 6 or 8 inch tail for a mouse.
Give him a nose, some pretty good size ears. Fold them together. And this little mouse will balance. Come on, mouse, stand up. Oh, he's hungry. Will balance on your hand. You give him a little neck and some feet. See if I can show this better. This is the same animal 6 times.
Yes, that's right.
So I hope by the end of the second mouse, you picked up on it. There's his back feet. This is not the best mouse I ever made, but it's a pretty good mouse.
It's a nice profile.
It's a
All
mouse. Okay, and let's make a hat out of these mice.
This is
Do I
one
have
of our
another one?
all-time favorite hats. And this is going to be building on your basic helmet form. And we're going to start with the rabbit ears. If you remember the rabbit ears hat, you start with the basic hat form. It's your headband and your feather. We're going to attach the rabbit ears to it by finding the middle of the second balloon and twisting it onto the center of the feather before you fold it down for your helmet. Now go ahead and complete the helmet. A twist here, bring it down to the center of the headband, and you only need to go around 1 time. Now you've got this rabbit ears hat that we've already made, but to turn this into a really good hat.
One of the best hats. By the way, on this mouse, you have to have this tail bubble, or his back legs come apart. Just a little tip there. You put the rabbit ear around the mouse in his stomach.
This is just like putting an animal on a leash.
Stick his nose out there. We like the tail pointed in. His nose pointed. Oops.
This is an incredibly kinetic hat with the little tails. Any 2 animals work very well. Any of the dogs you've learned or the giraffe look real good on this hat. This is double flying mice.
Very nice, don't you think?
Yeah, it's a favorite
Thank you
of
so
mine,
much.
and it's also a favorite of kids. You know, balloon hats make people smile, especially when they see themselves. And because of that, we usually take a mirror when we work because it's hard to.
This is the mirror we take.
Yeah, this is.
It's a
the
very
mirror.
small mirror. We often tell kids to look in the glass window.
Yes, if you're working outdoors. But that moment of a child seeing themselves for the first time in a hat is one of those things that you can never replace. And if you take a mirror, it's just the perfect thing. We're going to try a rabbit now. I think rabbits are rodents also, aren't they? A rabbit, you start with a little round nose and extra long ears on this one. You notice we've started with a balloon the same size as all the dogs, about a 2-inch tail. Going to make the 2 ears. This is the same sequence of 3 bubbles in a different proportion. And I would go ahead and roll the knot and give this little guy more of character on his face there. Now the body is a little different on this rabbit. We're going to make a sitting rabbit so that we can easily turn it into a hat. And to do that, we're going to make an oblong section You notice that he does't really have a neck bubble like the dog's. It's just going to be an oblong section and another one about the same length. So you've got two oblongs. You fold them in half and twist them off. This is nothing new. You already know how to do this. And now for the third part of his body, I bend it down to get a measurement here. You want this last segment to be about this long or just slightly longer. Twist it off there, and whatever's left is going to be his body. If you have a little uninflated balloon, go ahead and give it a squeeze at this point to fill it up and make him a little teeny round rabbit tail. Fold it over and twist it. All right. Now to make him fit on a hat, you want to tuck his little legs into
This
his
is a
body.
tight rabbit.
Tight rabbit. Okay. And Tom likes to tuck his little nose down in between his shoulders to give him that vulture look. All right?
Vulture.
That's a bunny. Let's put him on a hat.
I need a long one for my head. Adult heads are a little bigger than children's heads. Suppose you already know that. When we put the rabbit on the hat, we put a bubble at the very end of the feather, put his ears there at the bubble,
Do you notice that's just a clip? That's not a twist. All you have to do is stick it in there. It's going to stay.
and his tail onto the center of the hat. Now,
His tail
a
actually
real tight tail like this
wraps around one time.
to stick into the back.
Okay.
So you have the Easter bonnet.
Yeah. Puts a hair on any head.
Yes, it does.
I think we should we should try a parrot now, but I think you should do a parrot. You should do
Okay.
better parrots.
We'll do a quick parrot. A green parrot, one of my favorites.
Once again, it's a balloon with about a 2-inch tail.
You start with a very small bubble for the beak, and grab the nozzle, or hold on to the bubble. Pull him down, hold the nozzle against the body of the balloon, and then twist it right there. And you have the beak and the head. Then come down, and you make a body very much like the rabbit. It's a 3-part body. When you have one bubble getting longer than the other, as in this case, this one bubble's a little longer, it pokes out from the 3-part body. With a third bubble, I bring it down and push it through these other 2 bubbles. And then I decide which one is the longest one, which one's poking out the most. Goes this one. And I make that the belly of the bird. He's a little fatter, so I point his head that way. And I come down to the bottom and give him 2 little feet. Like that. Whoop. Always hold on.
To the first.
That first, then last bubble. Twist his feet on there. Okay, and a little tail sticking out like that. Okay, and there's the parrot. Now he can sit on somebody's finger.
By just pulling his little feet away from his tail and putting him on a finger, he'll hang on.
Or you can put him on a stand and he can be carried around. You make the stand, you can fold over the end of the balloon, give it a twist right there, and this will stick out to the side. Give it a twist here, stick him on there. Okay. Gee, it's dry in here today. There we go, and our parrot's sitting on a tree, or on a stand.
Okay, let's try another bird. Let's try a swan.
Ooh, one of my favorites.
Okay, well, a swan is your old favorite, about a 2-inch tail. The part that's left over on the swan is going to be the beak. So you can decide after you make a few how long you want that to be. But we start with it about 2 inches. For a swan, we're going to fold the nozzle end up against itself. So the balloon looks like this, and this is going to be the neck. So it's up to you how long that is. When you've decided how long you want it to be, go ahead and give it a squeeze here with leaving just about a real small bubble underneath his neck. You don't want to waste too much there. Okay? Look what you've got. A basic hat form. All right, on this one, you're going to find the opposite point and push it up here. Looks just like that, and give it a twist. Just twist 1/2 around. All right, now it looks something like this. Or it may look, don't worry about which way these things are pointing at this point. Now, to make the little swan body, we're going to take one loop and open it up a little bit, squeeze the other loop closed. And
Open it up by putting your hand through it and spreading your hand open.
that's right. And poking the wings up in there. Now this is a floating swan. Don't push him all the way through. You want to leave a little here. This is his body, all right? Now you've got something that looks like this. Maybe the head on yours is turned around. But since this is his little tummy, turn everything around so his head's pointing up. Now with this little ball on the bottom, you're going to spread his tummy apart here and just tuck it in. In other words, don't poke it all the way up through. What you're doing is giving him a little shape there. All right, now with this head, we're going to do just what we did in tucking in the headphones and a couple other things, and that is to just rock it back and let it sit here, all right, so that his head is actually looking like this. Now, to make his little face, you want to take the tip of the balloon and lay it down along itself. Do not stretch it and pull it, just lay it right down flat along itself. Put your thumb over the tip of it, however much you decide you don't want to have inflated. Put your thumb over the tip of it and just give it a squeeze like that. And it's going to come right up over the edge. Give him a little bit of character. You have a swan. This makes a wonderful hat. There's two neat things that you can do with this right off the bat that are easy.
So we put him in the lake?
Yes, let's put him.
Ooh, excuse me.
All right.
Shall I do it?
Yes.
Okay, I like to measure around him, just like making a hat for somebody. Where this cross happens, right here, I squeeze them together and twist them around.
I'm sorry.
And you have the classic Swan Lake.
That's the swan lake.
Very
And that's how you put the swan on a leash. Let's take that same swan. We've got balloon weevils here. And yeah, I got a hole. Let's take that same swan or your swan and put it on a hat. I've got one right here.
Okay.
This is your basic helmet, and in this case, because we're not attaching anything twisted onto the crossbar, we can go ahead and make the whole basic helmet this time, just to start with. So you make a swan and you make a helmet, and then you put them together. So we're starting here with the basic helmet.
To make this swan sit on a hat, use another balloon and just put it underneath the crossbar. Hold the ends together and push them up through the center of the swan. Then separate them, pull them around the neck, and tie a knot. It's called a double overhand knot. It's very much like tying your shoes. So that you have a swan wearing a bow tie or a safety seat. This one's black because I think it's a very formal occasion. The swan hat. It's one of our favorites. One of their favorites, too.
Yeah, it is. It is a favorite. Now, you've gotten so good at these sequence twists that we've done a million times. Let's learn a brand new
Let's try
twist.
something else. Okay, good. What are we going to do? The bear?
Yeah, let's try it.
The bear is one of my favorites.
Where have you heard this before?
It also has a nose. But I'd leave about 3 inches of tail for the bear. Give it a nose and a back of the head. Now, this is a whole new arrangement of bubbles.
This is a lot of bubbles in a row, so make sure that you remember to hold on to the first one and the last one, and you won't have any trouble.
Then a cheek, which is a little longer than the nose or the back of the head, and an ear. The bear ear.
Because of what's going to happen to this ear a little later, you need to make sure that you have a good number of twists on either side of it so that it's not going to lose air later.
In between the ears, there's a forehead, and then the other ear. And then below the other ear is a cheek, approximately the same size as the first cheek.
Okay, let's see what that looks like.
It looks like
All right.
this.
That's a lot of balloons, but you don't have to worry about any of them as long as you're holding the first one and the last one, or
Okay.
last one.
You bring his cheeks together, and you twist them right underneath the bottom of the cheek. So you have a triangle with the ears on the sides and the forehead on the top and the cheeks below. Then you poke his nose through the triangle, and you can hold him like this. Now holding him like this allows you to pull his ear out away from his cheek and his forehead to separate him a little bit. Separate him, give him a twist, and there's the bear ear. Do the same on the other side. Pull him out, squeeze it, pinch in there, give him a twist, and there's the bear ear. So
That's a brand new twist. Sometimes people call that a pinch twist. We just call it a bear ear twist. But you've also learned a new way to lock bubbles together. That's another kind of lock twist. So.
That's right. Bears often climb trees. Let's make him climb a tree.
All right. And we're going to use a very free-form tree. And this is it. And you can do that. You already know how. I'm not going to bother to show you.
This is a bear tree. It only has one leaf. Make the bear's arms large enough for the tree to fit in there loosely. And then give him a little hat.
Whatever's left is his body.
If you make this loop twist very tight, it looks like a bear ear twist. And it almost is. But here we've got his feet. Now, this bear will climb up this tree. It has to be on there loosely. This is like static electricity or something. He just goes flying up the tree. It's unbelievable. You kind of have to hold him down. Down, bear. Here he goes. He flies up. He flies up. Sometimes he flies up the tree. Sometimes he climbs up it a little slower. It's a little toy. Kids love to have this. They'll walk away spinning their bear.
Let's see his little face one more time so you can actually see his little face. If you're doing this for kids outside in the backyard or out at a park somewhere, you can make his arms a little tighter and he doesn't go up and down the tree, but he holds onto the tree so they're not going to lose him. Let's do one more thing with that little bear. Let's put him on a hat before we let him go altogether.
Okay.
And to do that, you need a fully inflated balloon. And this is a basic hat for him. This is not going to be a helmet. This is just a basic hat. One twist with a feather. Now, on a small child, this feather is going to be real long because the hat is smaller, and you may want to put a little leaf on top of it so that you reduce the chances of it flopping around when they get it on their head. Okay, and then do the same thing as we did before, but this time, since he's not going to climb up and down the tree, we're going to make him fit the tree a little better. We don't have to leave quite such a loop for his arms. So you're going to put him on there. Tom just folds it up and does a twist. I like to give him little legs, and you can certainly do it any way you would like to.
This is a full bear.
This bear ate a lot for breakfast.
That is.
Okay, turn his little head around. This hat is called Pooh with a View. You're going to tuck the little feather down in here, okay? And he looks just like this. When you tuck that feather in, it looks like he's laying flat, but when you put a head in there, it's going to stand up. Okay? That's a Pooh with a View.
One of my favorites.
Let's try a monkey.
Yes. The monkey is so close to the bear that it's only one more bubble. Okay, so leave about 3 inches, 2.5, 3 inches. Start with the first bubble, which turns into the monkey's chin, and then the monkey's nose, and then the monkey's back of the head. Ooh, I've done this backwards. Thinking about it, really, this is the back of the head, that's the nose, this is the chin, and then the cheek, just like the bear ear, forehead, bear ear, cheek, looks like this.
It's the anatomy of a monkey.
And this is a bear head with one more bubble at this end, okay? Bring his cheeks together, twist them there to get that triangle for the head.
See, looks just the same on top.
Okay, push his first bubble through so it would look like a bear here, but if you pull the nozzle down and wrap it around the neck.
This is just the same thing you learned to do with a parrot.
Okay. Here's his chin and here's his nose. Pull his ears out to give him a twist to make bear ears on this monkey. And it's a monkey head.
All right. And the only other difference between a bear and a monkey is that a monkey's going to have a longer tail. It can go up a tree. It can attach on a hat exactly the same way. All right, before we leave bear ears, let's try one more thing. And this is the body of this animal you already know how to make. We're going to use a giraffe here, but we're just going to show you the difference that bear ears can make. This is a way to add a little personality. Make his little round nose, clip it in your finger, and now instead of a regular ear, let's make a bear ear by twisting it off. Remember now to pull it away from itself a little bit. When you fold it over, lift it out a little bit before you make that twist that cuts down on the friction. Don't worry about these bear ears. Ballooning law requires you to break at least 50 bear ears. So if you're having a hard time, you just keep doing it. You'll get it. And they're too cute to give up on. Roll the knot. Give his nose a little squeeze to give him personality. And go ahead and finish the body just like we learned before with a neck and 2 legs. And then a body and 2 legs. Give his neck a little bit of a bend. This is the leash bend, like we did before, to give him some personality. Now, if you're not in a hurry and you don't have a big group of people that are waiting for a balloon, you might opt to put a little face on it with a magic marker. This is a Sharpie pen, and it is one of the pens of choice for people that draw on balloons.
We'll make this a little girl
Yes.
with eyelashes.
Okay, you can do anything with a marker pen, and you can get into colors, and if you're not pressed for time, you can really give your balloon a lot of personality. Because we work for large numbers of people and we're always in a hurry, we don't draw on them. We try to give them make the balloon itself as perfect as possible.
Okay, let's do a beagle. Now the beagle is one of my favorites, because the head is so different than any other head.
How long is this balloon? This much tail.
Okay. And there's that much tail because his first bubble is a long bubble. It goes over his head and down the front. So I squeeze a lot of air out of it by just doing like this and then twisting it here. And that's given me a softer front bubble. I also roll the nozzle to get even more softness out of it. Okay. This is the nose. These two are the head section, about there. So I twist the ears together, and then the nose comes right over the top, and you pull the ears apart and push his nose about at the eye level of him, right into there. And you get the Snoopy head, or the beagle head. Excuse me, Snoopy. Now Snoopy can be a regular dog body. Give him a neck and some legs. You've got the Snoopy.
This little Snoopy head looks very good on a weenie dog body.
It's so dry today. Okay, there you go.
Texas.
The better you stick him in, the better he'll stay.
Okay, that's a real nice head. All right, let's learn how to do the most often requested balloon animal. And you've already learned things that are harder than this, so this is nothing. And we're going to do it in pink because every little girl that you make a balloon for is going to want a pink poodle, so that's how we'll do it. A poodle balloon looks like this. I don't know how long this is, 6 inches maybe on the end. I also feel like I have a slow leaf somewhere in this pink balloon. Let's start one more time. You will learn things about balloons like pinholes happen. Sometimes they wait to happen till the very last twist. All right, starting with a balloon about this size. Poodle head goes like this, an oblong nose. Hang on to it. Now he's going to have a 3-section head. And I make the sections for his head more round than oblong. This is a matter of taste and opinion, so you just do it the way you want. But we're going to do 3 in a row plus a nose, that's 4. And fold it over so that the 3 are on top and twist them off. Looks like this. Now, if you already have a beginning balloon book, you may find that this is what they call a poodle head. And it is, if you say it is. But this one looks nicer. Take that knot and roll it out to give you this little peanut shape here. And then this is how I poke it through. I stick my finger through the middle of the cluster there to make a little hole and push this through. Grab the knot. You're just grabbing it to guide it now. Don't pull on it too hard. I think it's better if you give it a push from the back. What you want to do is make his little head sit there. Don't push him all the way through. You want a back of the head and a nose. Okay, that's your little poodle face. And then you want a little round neck. Now, poodles invariably have fancy haircuts. So instead of just a 2-piece leg, we're going to make a 4-piece leg. This is his upper leg. And a little round foot. Another little round foot. And an upper leg. All right, you got, looks like this. Fold it down and twist them off with the legs and feet on top, right underneath the neck. There you go. This is a fancy haircut. This costs extra. Then a body, and do the leg sequence again. Upper leg, foot, foot, upper leg. And twist them off. Now the reason that you've started with so much tail on the balloon is to give it a fancy haircut at the end. And I'm going to do this for you, and then we're going to have Tom explain how it works because he does a real good job on explaining it. But this is basically what it looks like. All right? And that's a poodle.
The balloon coming up here is a perfect opportunity to have a child blow on this end of the balloon and blow it up, or for you to blow on it. Go. It appears that you blew it up. What's happening here is this is a captured bubble of air, and this rubber is still strong rubber. If you take that very end and stretch it out a little bit like this, you're making it softer on the very tip than you are in between here. Then, if you hold this balloon with your fingers and your thumb so that air can travel through this part of the balloon to the tail, but that part of the balloon can't blow up because your fingers are there. Now, if your fingers are squeezed all the way tight, air can't travel either. So you just have to hold your fingers loosely around it and not let it blow up. Then use the bottom part of your hand to squeeze that bubble and push air to the end.
Okay, let's turn this little guy into a hat. The poodle hat is the single most popular hat, and it's done on a basic hat form. Not a helmet, just a basic hat. So start with this. Take your poodle and wrap the feather around his little tummy just like you were putting him on a leash. It's one twist off right underneath his tummy. There, you've got him. And go ahead and tuck him back in here like you did on all the other hats that have something sticking straight up off the top. True him up a little bit so he looks sharp. And when you put him on a head, he's going to stand up. This is the watchdog hat.
One of my favorites.
Balloon sculpture is everybody's favorite, and you'll be surprised when you start doing this how popular it is. And the better you get at it and the more balloons you do, you'll find out that you become incredibly popular too. So we hope you practice it and have as much fun with it as we do.
You've been a great class. Thanks for coming.
Class dismissed.